YouTube! What's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and we are back in Total War, Warhammer 2. So this is going to be a discussion about some of the new units that rolled in the Shadow and the Blade in this battle. That's going to be Scourge Runner Chariots. They are quite a good unit. They're very fast for a chariot. They have a great bonus versus infantry. They deal some armor-piercing melee damage, and then they have they have armor-piercing anti-large missiles, and they deal some anti-infantry bonus while in melee, so they're going to be good against, better against low armor infantry, really good in that scenario, and then okay probably still on the charge versus the armored infantry. Anyway, there's a lot of people that have been talking about ways to counter them. That's obviously going to depend on the faction, on how well you can counter them. You can see they're making themselves useful in that regard early, just getting in here. Their ammo's a bit wasted on zombies, but their melee charge, certainly not. Now, there is Manfred and a Terrorgeist here, and they are taking on some forces. Let's take a look at real quick. Some Bleak Swords, Skeletons, Warriors, and Sternsmen. That was just a very nice breath ability there that took out that Dread Spear almost immediately up against a unit of zombies. But there is a Blood Rack Shrine behind it, and the Medusa is going to be dishing a lot of damage with her breath attacks. Now, I kind of thought here that we would see Manfred and the Terrorgeist go straight for the Blood Rack Shrine. Instead, they're going to try and wrap up infantry. Now, that said, on this other flank, the Scourge Runner Chariots and Shades are just having their way with the cheap infantry, and that's not really a huge surprise. The Vampires do have the Dire Pack, but they are being microed in dangerously close to these Cold One units here, almost as if they have an order, and they're not seeing what's going on here. I think they've got an attack order on a Scourge Runner Chariot, and they get caught by the Cold One Knights, so rough break for the Vampires here early. However, a unit to counter the Scourge Runner Chariots, the Chillgeist. This is probably one of the best units in the game to counter the Scourge Runner Chariots, unless it's being protected by a Doomfire Warlock. In that case, steer clear. So if you're going to go up against the Vampires and you want to bring Scourge Runners, probably bring a Doomfire Warlock with it, and you'll be pretty safe from this. But the Chillgeist have the Chilling Aura, which slows units, which means the Chariot, already just slightly slower, can't get away from them. And then the armor-piercing damage that come from the Chillgeist, it's just going to shred right through these guys. So you can see that one of the Scourge Runner Chariots being taken down very quickly. Manfred gets over here to put the Invocation of the Heck down on him. Summons a zombie. Both these Shade units, which are decent in melee, get caught, and they won't be decent against dragons in melee. But here comes the Dark Elves, and they are looking to just put in a throwdown. You got to be very careful of these types of engagements versus the Vampire. They're magic, they're summons, they're breath attacks, they don't rout. It's a very dangerous situation. And you can see here that the Dark Elves are digging themselves in deep against a Terrorgeist and a Dragon. They got hit with the Fate of Buna on one of their Cold One Knights, which mortally wounded it. And you can see that the Chillgeist are now going to be in here slowing everything down. Nothing will be able to get away. Meanwhile, check this out. The Dire Pack finally gets loose, because again, they don't rout. And they're going to start running down a Scourge Runner Chair, at least try to. Again, shows you how fast these units are. If they can stay on the Scourge Runner, it will be a decent attack, but you can clearly see the Dark Elf player trying to micro it out of their reach. And of course, because of the armor that's there, the Dire Pack, not intensely effective. But look at this, just how quickly the Vampires do their thing in this fight. You got to be very careful of how you take engagements against Vampires. It may seem favorable. They don't rout, though. And they can summon crap up. They can do a lot of healing. And in this case, the Chillgeist pay off once again in helping to cut down. Chillgeist are extremely good at cutting down armored cavalry, as long as that armored cavalry does not have magic attacks. Nothing in this blob had magic attacks, so the Chillgeist are great. You can see Manfred just going to keep spending the invocations there to keep them alive. Now, meanwhile, the Vampire troops in the middle have done good at what Vampire troops do good at, which is just stay alive for an annoyingly long time. The inclusion of the Corpse Cart here was pretty nice because it helped keep these units in the fight longer and made them more effective when they were otherwise fairly cheap units. Here comes a breath attack here. It's going to get the Blackguard. It's going to be a very nice breath attack, actually, by Manfred. And then the Blood Rack Shrine becomes the target. Meanwhile, the Chillgeist have picked up on the other Scourge Runner Chariots that the dogs couldn't finish. And even though they got a head start, it's just a matter of time. And the Scourge Runners won't be able to take down the Chillgeist. They are going to catch it. They are going to kill it. So there you go. There's a unit that can counter the Scourge Runners. Again, assuming there's not a Doomfire Warlock around. Malice Darkblade's a little bit upset, though, at the previous defeat. He's going to pop off some of his abilities. But you can see he gets caught up in infantry really quick, not even able to get over to Manfred. And the Blood-Rack Shrine is taking tremendous damage. He's got the Sternsman. There are a few Blackguard left to assist. They're just low in numbers, and their leadership is faltering, but they are Blackguard, so they'll hang in there. They'll hang in there for a fairly extended period of time. Now the Terror guy's going to get loose on these Shades, and then Manfred's going to come over here to support as well. Once again, Manfred doing what he does best, summoning up a few thousand more hit points for the Dark Elves to deal with, and this time in a form of a skeleton warrior, so they're not going to enjoy that. And then the Terrorgeist is able to get away while leaving them to chew on their food. Manfred, meanwhile, going to get after this Blood-Rack Shrine, and then way back in the back, you can see those Scourge Runner Chariots shatter. Just nothing left for the Dark Elves. So, Chillgeist, yeah. As long as there's no Doomfire Warlocks, it's going to be a very effective unit at taking down both Dark Elf Cavalry and the Dark Elf Scourge Runner Chariots. Scourge Runner Chariots, if they get time, do not underestimate those guys. They can fire a lot of missiles, especially if they get to kite you across the map. I would be particularly careful of the Scourge Runner Chariots with horse-type cavalry, or anything that's a little too slow to catch them. Don't get caught in that kiting. That's what they're going to do well. They have a 360-degree firing arc, and if you are the one playing the Scourge Runner Chariots, do that. Keep your distance. Fire all your ammo. Bring these things in late game, where they're going to have the most impact on any remaining damaged elite infantry or low-tier infantry. They're going to do very, very well in the late game. That's how you want to play those units. Anyway, I love the game here between Oblivion and Ehik, or Yik, however you say it there. It's a fun game. Neither player was perfect here. I liked the point, though, that Lord Oblivion sent in talking about the Scourge Runner Chariots. What do you all think? What kind of counters do you like to Scourge Runner Chariots? Are they OP? I'm not saying that I have an opinion one way or them. I haven't gotten to play against them much as far as multiplayer goes. So I wouldn't have the first clue if they were, like overpowered or something like that. 950, they're not cheap. And you think about this cost range they're running in. Can you get enough value out of them? Can they do enough damage to large targets? You're probably going to have to protect them. You even get this Ravagers one here, which is a one that adds poison to the mix. Quite a bit more expensive, but I mean, having poison added to the mix is potentially a big deal. Plus, it has another special ability here I'm going to check out. I haven't seen this in... Oh my gosh. Yeah, minus 25% speed. Affects all enemies in a 45 meter radius. Yikes. Yeah, these guys are going to be hard to catch. They're going to be very hard to catch. This is going to be an interesting one here, especially if you combined it with maybe a standard Scourge Runner Chariot to keep the cavalry far enough away from you. Again, you're still going to maybe want to keep them within the support range of your army, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty intense, all the damage that those guys can cause. So how do you counter stuff like that? There's other units for other factions, like Fellbats from the Vampires could be a good way to tie these things down or chase them off for a little while. I don't think the Fellbats are going to win that fight by any stretch of the imagination, but that's one option. Fellbats are very quick. Light Cavalry, I don't think is going to be able to cut through the armor of the Scourge Runner Chariots. I haven't tested this. There's only 3 unit models there. Maybe, right? Maybe. I'm just thinking of things that can actually catch them. Obviously, if the Scourge Runner Chariots are kind enough to sit within range, I think foot missiles can help drive them off. Potentially, you could use something like a bolt thrower to keep them at a distance. Bolt throwers are always a solid pick if you're another Dark Elf faction or High Elves. I mean, a Warp Lightning cannon or Jezzails would be able to pepper these things from long range, assuming you have the shot. I can think of a number of things that would be quite helpful at keeping them at bay. Something that's long range and has the ability to hit large targets on the move is going to be best. You definitely, I think in terms of strategies though, don't throw heavy cavalry these things if they're running away from you, right? If they're running away from you, don't get caught in that trap, especially against this thing, the Ravagers of Rakarth. These guys are going to be a mess to try and chase down. You don't want to get involved in that. But anyway, you all give me your thoughts on the Scourge Runner Chariots. Like I said, I haven't gotten to mess with them a lot. They are very good in campaign. Very good. In fact, I just posted a Malice Darkblade video today. You can go check it out. The Scourge Runner Chariots saved me in one of those battles. Definitely highly recommend this unit, especially in early campaign. It's very, very good with Malice's faction. had grief, because you can take out so much infantry of your opponents, like Red Cloud or Cheap Skinks or Saurus or Skaven. Like, all those things you're going to be fighting early over in the Dragon Isles and Mortar Empires. The Scourge Runner Chariots are good against all of it. Plus, they can shoot up Kroxigor Lords. They can shoot up if there was Rat Ogres, or heaven forbid a Hell Pit Abomination or something else like that. They're very useful. Anyway, love to see your thoughts on it. Get down there, get in the discussion. Let's talk about Scourge Runner Chariots. What's been your experience so far? Anyway, HeirofCarthage, signing out for now. I will go down and respond to comments, take some thoughts from it, and maybe we'll have a follow-up episode. See you then.